Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. I was reading through my comments on Google Plus, and I read through them and I saw a very disturbing comment as related to a David Carroll video that I made a comment on. And it was a comment made by one of these girls who swirl. Now, one of these girls who swirl was pretty butthurt about a comment I made in a David Carroll video where he was talking about how these Afro-American Negro men are so dumb. And this female, who clearly shows me that she's been watching my videos as related to the goth subculture, decided to try to spin this into some sort of shaming language where she was going to shame me for my interest in the goth subculture and my connection to the goth subculture. And in her comment, she said this: "You with your interest in goth women and who look like witches." And I listened to that comment, and it showed me, how ignorant this person was as it related to the goth subculture. Because one, she's sitting here saying that, my interest in goth women goth women are only white women, because I know for a fact that there are black women who are out here who have been a part of the goth subculture ever since its inception in the late 1970s. And what this person didn't know is they were insulting those goth women and those black goth women by calling them witches. And this goes back to a point I made in a video a couple months ago, where I was giving a message to all of these black goths out here and these black comic fans and these black sci-fi fans as it relates to many of these black people out here and how they view you and why you need to go out here and be yourself. Because what will happen is these people will try to frame you into a narrative where they say that you were acting white, you were trying to be white, and when you're just trying to be yourself. And they'll try to shame others who want to support you or who are also have the same interests because you express that interest. Because in the case of many of these black women who are like these girls who swirl, they want black to fit into one narrative. And they want black to be one way. They want everybody to walk lockstep down the same road that they're walking down. And what they don't understand about, goths and the goth subculture is that, yes, there are black goths out here and there are black female goths out here, and there are quite a few of them here on YouTube, and I've subbed to many of their channels, and I look at their approach to relationships and their perception of relationships, and it is completely different from many of these so-called girls who swirl. Now, some of these goth females, black females, are out here and they're having interracial relationships. And they have their interracial relationships and they pursue the men that they're involved with pretty much based on the content of the character, not the color of their skin. Because I listen to the way that they talk about their relationships, and it's completely different from the girls who swirl. Now, your goth women will pretty much, when they pursue a relationship with a guy, again, it's a guy based on their interests. They'll have met this guy at a con, or they'll meet him at the Barnes & Noble, or a comic shop, or wherever, and they have a common interest, they have common likes, and they're pursuing their relationship based on the character, not the color. And when I look at their relationships, again, they talk about the man by saying, that's their boyfriend, that's their man, that's their love. And their whole approach to the relationship, their whole reasons for the relationship are based on character-based foundations. Things like common interest, common hobbies, common things that they have with each other, common core values. This is what they frame their relationship with when they have their interrelational relationships with white men and Asian men and men of any other race. Their relationship is based on things related to character. Now, when I look at your girls who swirl, their whole narrative for interracial relationships is a totally different paradigm. And under this paradigm, these girls who swirl go out here and say they are exploring their dating options because there are no dating options with black men. And they say this because they believe these stereotypes that were presented to them by people like your Oprah Winfrey and your Terry McMillan and many others who go out here and try to push books that frame a narrative that is misandristic and presents you a negative image of black men. Moreover, many of these black women have been burned in relationships with dysfunctional black men, and they believe that there are no options for relationships with black men. So when they go out here and they talk about exploring their dating options, they're coming from a place of dysfunction. They're saying that the black men they had interacted with were no good, so they're going to go out here and approach relationships with men of other races, not understanding that it takes two people to have a relationship with each other. And both parties are responsible for whatever caused that relationship to fail. So when this female says she's going out here to explore her dating options with other men and then does not take a long, hard, self-examination of self to see where she went wrong, she is going to go from a pool of dysfunctional black males over to a pool of dysfunctional white males. And then she's going to sit there and say that she is exploring her dating options when it's clear to me that she hasn't dealt with the dysfunction in herself. And because she has not dealt with the dysfunction in herself, she winds up changing from one pool of dysfunction to another pool of dysfunction. Moreover, she also doesn't want to deal with the dysfunction she enabled in her own black community by supporting many of these dysfunctional black males out here, because many of these females who talk about this swirling, many of them were out here with the dope dealers, the gang members, the thugs, and they've pretty much seen these relationships fail with these males, and they see that these males are not going to change because this male is pretty much stuck in a state of arrested development where he's at a mental age of about 11 or 12 years old and is still doing things like wearing Air Jordan sneakers to business meetings or Christmas parties, or he's wearing Timberland Spice Tans and a denim jacket and jeans talking about it's a suit when they try to take him to a restaurant. And they're upset about the fact that this man is not grown, he is not matured, and that even at 30 or 35 years old, he's still very much a child. Meanwhile, these same females will talk about dating options, but when I notice with women, black women of the goth subculture, they don't have to talk about dating options. When it comes down to black women who are a part of the goth subculture, they just go out and pursue relationships with whoever they want to pursue with, regardless of race, and that relationship pretty much primarily stays between that goth female and whoever man she's having that relationship with, regardless of her race. Because I've also seen, in addition to the black women who have pursued relationships with non-black men and white men, I've seen black goth women pursue relationships with black men. And again, that relationship, again, is based on character. It is not based on color. They pretty much have their relationship, and whatever goes on in that relationship is between that goth female and that man. And that's all it is. They don't have to go out here broadcasting it like your girls who swirl. Now, when it comes down to your girls who swirl, they're sitting up here, one, not only talking about exploring these dating options, they're also going out of every way to flaunt their relationship with whatever man they're with, whether it be a white man, an Asian man, a Hispanic man, or an Arab man, in the face of black men. And that clearly shows you that many of these girls who swirl, they're not in this relationship for the same reason that a goth woman is in a relationship with a man. Now, your goth woman of color, she'll be in a relationship with a man, again, based on those common interests and those common core values. But your girls who swirl, they pretty much take white men, Arab men, Hispanic men, and Asian men, and they deify these men. And then worse, they objectify these men, and they use them as a tool to try to shame and silence black men. And the reason why they do that, again, is because they want to get attention from black men. And I look at their behaviors because I compare it to what the black females of the goth subculture participate in. And again, I see a completely different relationship dynamic. Your goth black female will go out and have her relationship, and it'll be what it be. It'll be between him and her. But when it comes down to this girl who swirls and these girls who swirl, what they do is every 8 seconds they're in the face of a black man talking about how he's no good, how he's trifling, making numerous videos about how no good these black men are, looking for arguments with black men, looking for attention from black men, looking to start drama with black men. And that's extremely dysfunctional when you think about it because, again, a relationship is supposed to be between you and your man, and the things that go on with it go on between you and your man. You're not supposed to be bringing other people in or seeking attention from other people because, again, this is what I noticed that is the difference between, again, your black goth female who will just go out here and have her relationship with whoever she wants to have a relationship with, and your girl who swirls. Your girls who swirl, they talk about exploring their dating options, but it's clear to me they are just exploring ways to get attention for themselves. They don't want a real relationship based on anything substantive. They just want to find a way to make many of these black men jealous, and sadly, many of these black men just keep taking the bait and continuing to try to bicker and argue with these females and trying to, make some way to convince them that black men are no good, or something like that, or black men are good, and they just continue to argue with each other, going back and forth, seeking attention and continuing to have drama with each other, and it's pointless because what these girls who swirl want to do is just continue to argue you in a circle that pretty much goes nowhere until you wind up leaving, and then they launch into their shaming language. And these are the same females who, again, are going to call goth women witches, not understanding that when you call all goth women witches, when you make that generalization, you are also calling black goth women witches. So it proves, again, that point that I made in another video a long time ago, proving how the views of these females are and how they want to frame one narrative as it relates to black culture, and they want to have everybody walking lockstep down their road. And these are the women who are talking about character over color, but it's clear to me that the content of their character is always regarding the color of somebody's skin. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.